on YouTube. It is you guys, Sports Live, broadcasting live today, March 1st, 2026. Today, we are going to do a live stream today going over some of the athletic conference championship tournaments for men and women's basketball. Not every conference has an actual conference tournament championship, and in this one, it'll be some men's tournaments and some women's only. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to make picks on who I think is going to win the said games, and we're just going to go through this list and go through this as best we can. I apologize for the glare. I'm going to be taking this off of my computer screen, and I'm going to be making picks accordingly. So first, we're going to start with the MAAC Women's Basketball Championship. In this tournament, you have first round, which will take place March 5th. You have the quarterfinals, which will take place Friday and Saturday, March 6th and 7th. The semifinals on March 8th, and the conference championship on March 9th. So, in this first round game, it looks like you will have Sacred Heart. What we'll do is we'll go from one end to the other and then go from that. So, we'll start with Sacred Heart versus St. Peter's. The winner of that game will play Fairfield on Friday. Then you have Merrimack St. Mary's. All right, so I have Sacred Heart to defeat St. Peter's. Fairfield versus Sacred Heart. And then Merrimack Mary's. I have Merrimack winning over Mount St. Mary's. And I'm going to have Fairfield beat Sacred Heart. So, let's see. And then I have Iona versus Siena. And then Quinnipiac will play. I'm going to have Manhattan beat Marist. And they'll play Quinnipiac. Between Quinnipiac and Marist, I have Quinnipiac. All right, so then you have Iona versus Siena. I'm going to go Iona defeating Siena, so that'll put Quinnipiac versus. Then you have Fairfield versus Peters. I have Sacred Heart, so Sacred Heart will play Fairfield. Let's see. I have Fairfield will play Merrimack. Yeah, Fairfield versus Merrimack, with Merrimack going to the championship game. And then Quinnipiac and Iona, I have. So for the conference championship on that one, I'll have Quinnipiac versus Merrimack. And I have Merrimack winning that one. All right, so next we have. Let's see, men's basketball, the Big South Conference. It'll start on March 1st or March 4th, round one. The quarterfinals will be March 6th. The semifinals will be March 7th. And the championship game will be on March 8th. So, let's see, you'll have USC. And then the winner of. So, yeah, we'll start with that. So, I have USC Upstate winning over Gardner Webb. So, USC Upstate will play High Point. I then have High Point going to play the winner of Winthrop and Charleston Southern. So, I'm going to have High Point versus Winthrop. And I'll have Winthrop going to the championship game on that side of things. Next, you have UNC Asheville versus Longwood. And of that game will be, hang on. Then you have Radford and Presbyterian. I'm going to have Radford playing UNC Asheville. And, let's see, Asheville will play Presbyterian. So I have Presbyterian versus High Point, and I will have High Point winning the championship on that one. So there we go. There's that one. Big South Women's Tournament. That's going to go on March 4th for the first round. The quarterfinals will be on March 5th. The semifinals will be March 7th. And the championship game will be March 8th. So let's see how this is going to work. Okay, so on the bottom part of the bracket, you have Longwood versus UNC Asheville. I'm going to go Longwood on that one. And then Longwood versus the winner of Radford and Charleston Southern. Wood versus Radford. And then I'm going to have Radford go to the championship game. In the first game, you'll have, or on this game, on this side, you'll have USC Upstate versus Presbyterian. I'll have Presbyterian go and win that one. They'll play High Point. High Point will beat Presbyterian. Then you have Gardner Webb versus Winthrop. So I have High Point versus Winthrop, with High Point getting to the championship game against Radford. So basically, it's going to be High Point versus Radford. There's that one. Next, we have the Women's Horizon League Championship bracket. And let's see, you have a play-in game that'll take place March 2nd. First round games will be March 4th. Second round will be March 8th. The semifinals will be March 9th. And the championship will be March 10th. So, and let's see, we got, in the play-in game, it's going to be Milwaukee versus Detroit Mercy. So I'm going to have Milwaukee versus Green Bay. Next, you have Youngstown State versus Wright State. I'm going to go Wright State. So you have Wright State versus Green Bay. And then you have Cleveland State versus Oakland. I'm going to go Cleveland State. Then you have Northern Kentucky versus Indianapolis. I'm going to go Northern Kentucky. You have Purdue Fort Wayne versus RMU. I'm going to have RMU. So, let's see. Second round will be Youngstown State versus Green Bay, and I'll have Green Bay. Playing Wright State in the second round. So in the third round, it'll be Green Bay versus Wright State and Northern Kentucky versus Indianapolis. So I'm going to go Wright State versus Northern Kentucky, and I'm going to have Northern Kentucky win that one. All right, now we got the men's basketball championships. It's the same concept, play-in game March 2nd, first round March 4th, second round March 9th, the semifinals, second round will be finals will be March 9th. Championship game will be March 10th. So the play-in game will be Cleveland State versus Indianapolis. I've got Cleveland State. State will play Wright State. And I have Wright State advancing to the second. No, I have Wright State advancing to the semifinals. Then you have RMU versus Youngstown State. I'll go RMU. Then I have Detroit Mercy. I'm going to have Milwaukee win that one. I'm going to have Northern Kentucky with Oakland, Green Bay with Purdue Fort Wayne. And then I'm going to have Purdue Fort Wayne versus Oakland. And that's going to be Oakland that's going to advance. I'm going to have Youngstown State and Mercy. So it'll be Mercy versus Milwaukee. And I have Milwaukee playing Oakland for the championship. And Oakland will win that championship. Next we have the ASUN tournament, the men's tournament, and it looks like the number one team will play in the quarterfinals. The number one, the number four, the number two, and number three will start their first game in the quarter. Let's see. In that men's tournament, it'll be March 4th through 8th in Jacksonville, Florida for that particular conference. You have Belmarine versus Jacksonville, FGCU. So the winner of West Georgia versus North Florida will be West Georgia. And then I'll have West Georgia making it to the semifinals. EKU versus Stetson. I have Stetson playing Austin Peay, and it'll be Austin Peay versus North Florida in the semifinals. You have North Alabama versus FGCU, and I'll have FGCU win that one. And they'll play Lipscomb. So I have Lipscomb making it to the semifinals on that game. You have Belmarine versus Jacksonville, and they'll play Central Arkansas, and I'm going to have Belmarine playing Central Arkansas with Belmarine making it to the semifinals. So it'll be Belmarine versus Central Arkansas, so it'll be Belmarine versus Lipscomb in the semifinals, and Austin Peay versus North Florida in the semifinals. For the championship game, I'm going to have... Let's see. I'm going to have Lipscomb and Austin Peay making it to the semifinals. Okay. So I have Austin Peay in the semifinals versus North Florida. I'm going to have Austin Peay going to the finals. And the other one I'm going to have is Central Arkansas. So Central Arkansas versus Austin Peay. And Austin Peay wins the championship on that one. Next is a combined bracket, and it's the men and women's basketball tournament for the Ohio Valley Conference. We'll start with the women for the Ohio Valley Conference. First round game is March 4th. The quarterfinals are March 5th. The semifinals are March 6th, and the championship for the conference will be March 7th. All of these games will be played in Evansville, Indiana. So, going forth, you have Little Rock versus Southeast Missouri. Then you'll have UT Martin versus SIUE, and that's in the women. So, I have Southeast Missouri beating Little Rock. So, Southeast Missouri will play Morehead State. And, let's see, I have Southeast Missouri playing Morehead State, and then I'll have Morehead State will advance to play Western Illinois. And then I'll have Western Illinois making it to the championship on that one. On the bottom part of the bracket is UT Martin versus SIUE. I'll have UT Martin. They'll play Southern Indiana. Southern Indiana will get past UT Martin and will play Lindenwood. I'll have Southern Indiana beating Lindenwood to get to the championship game. So Lindenwood versus versus Morehead State, and I'm going to have Morehead State winning that one. In the men's bracket, you have SIUE versus Eastern Illinois, and I'm going to go SIUE to play UT Martin. Between SIUE and UT Martin, I will have UT Martin move to the semifinals. Okay. And they'll play Tennessee State. And so I'll have Tennessee State going for the championship on that part. Next, you'll have Little Rock versus Lindenwood. I'll go Little Rock, which will play Southeast Missouri. Southeast Missouri will beat Little Rock. I'll have Morehead State playing Southeast Missouri. Southeast Missouri wins that one. And it'll be Southeast Missouri versus Tennessee State. And I'm going to go Tennessee State for the OVC champion on that one. So the next one we have is the Big South tournament. The Big South will be March 4th for the first round. It looks like the next round will be March 6th. March 7th will be the semifinals. and March 8th will be the championships. So you'll start off with, and this is going to be the men's basketball action. I do have men on some of them, and some of them I have men and women, and some I just have just women. So this is the men's tournament. You have USC Upstate versus Gardner Webb, who will end up playing High Point. I'm going to go Gardner Webb will play High Point. Then you have UNC Asheville will play Longwood. Winthrop will play Charleston Southern. Radford will play Presbyterian. So I'm going to go Gardner Webb. I'm sorry, I've got High Point winning over Gardner Webb. I'll have Longwood playing High Point, so we'll get High Point to the championship game. And then we have Winthrop beating Charleston Southern and Radford. So Radford versus High Point. Yeah, Radford versus High Point. And let's see, yeah, Radford versus High Point, and I'm going to have Radford win the Big South tournament for the men. Next, we have the Horizon League tournament, and the Horizon League will start tomorrow, actually, on March 2nd. You'll have more games on March 3rd and 4th, and then you'll have games on March 8th, March 9th, and March 10th for the championships. And in this one, we have a play-in game, Cleveland State versus IU Indy. I'm going to go Cleveland State, who will play Wright State. I'm going to have Wright State going all the way to the championship game. So we have Robert Morris versus Youngstown State, which I will have Wright State playing Robert Morris. Then you have Detroit Mercy versus Milwaukee. I'm going to go Detroit Mercy over that, and they'll play Robert Morris. Robert Morris will win over that. Then you have Oakland versus Northern Kentucky. Oakland wins that one. Then you have Green Bay versus Purdue Fort Wayne. I'm going to have Green Bay. So I'll have Green Bay versus Cleveland. Cleveland will win that one. You have Detroit Mercy versus Milwaukee. I'll have Milwaukee. And then I'll have Wright State beat Milwaukee and Mercy defeat Oakland. And so Wright State wins the championship on that one. And again, these are just my picks. And again, this is just the conference tournament championships. Not everyone has them, and this is part one. We'll have more of them next week. So on this one, the Northeastern Conference tournament, or NEC tournament, will take place March 4th, March 7th, and March 10th. You will have, and the way they're going to do this is they're going to reseed this afterward. So you have Long Island versus Chicago State. You'll have Lemoyne versus Stonehill, Central Connecticut versus Wagner, and Mercyhurst versus Farley Dickinson. I'll have Long Island defeating Chicago State in order to advance. I'll have Lemoyne defeating Stonehill. So you have Long Island versus Lemoyne, and I'm going to have Long Island getting there. You have Central Connecticut versus Wagner. I'm going to have Central Connecticut. And then you're going to have Mercyhurst versus Farley Dickinson. I'm going to have Mercyhurst playing Central Connecticut. And then it's going to be Mercyhurst versus Long Island for the championship in that one. And this one's a men's tournament as well. Next, you have the Patriot League, and this is going to be the men on this one. You have Bucknell versus Army West Point, and the winner of that one will play Navy. You have Lafayette versus Holy Cross, and they'll play the winner of Lehigh. So I will have Bucknell beat Army West Point. I will have Holy Cross beat Lafayette. So you have Navy versus Bucknell. I will go Navy. You have Boston University versus American. I'm going to have American. So you have Navy versus American there. Let's see. Then you have Lehigh versus Colgate, and I'm going to go Colgate. I'm actually going to have Lehigh defeat Holy Cross. So Colgate will defeat Loyola, Maryland. It'll be Colgate versus Lehigh, and I'll have Lehigh versus Colgate, and Navy versus American. I'll have Colgate beat Loyola, Maryland for the championship game against Navy, and Navy wins that game. Okay, so next we have the Southern Conference, and this is the men's action. They will start play March 6th in the first round. The second round will be March 7th. The semifinals will be March 8th, and the championship will be on March 9th. You'll have Chattanooga versus the Citadel, and the winner of that one will play East Tennessee State. You have UNC Greensboro versus VMI, and the winner of that one will play Wofford. So in the Citadel game, I'm going to have the Citadel playing East Tennessee State. You'll have UNC Greensboro versus VMI, and I'll have VMI versus Wofford. So East Tennessee State versus the Citadel, I have East Tennessee State. Mercer versus Western Carolina, I'll have Western Carolina. And with that, I'll have East Tennessee State getting to the championship game. Wofford versus UNC Greensboro, I have Wofford. You have Samford versus Furman. I'll have Samford winning that one over Furman. So Samford will play Wofford, and I have Wofford winning that one, and they will play East Tennessee State for the championship, and East Tennessee State will win the conference championship. Next, you have the Summit League. They'll have first round game on March 4th. Then you'll have the next round, which will be March 5th and March 6th. You'll have March 7th will be the semifinals, and March 8th will be the conference championship. So in that, and the winner of that will play North Dakota State. So I'm going to go Oral Roberts versus North Dakota State. And then North Dakota State will defeat Oral Roberts. Then you have South Dakota versus Omaha. I'm going to go South Dakota versus North Dakota State, with North Dakota State going to the conference championship. You'll have St. Thomas versus South Dakota State. I'm going to go St. Thomas over South Dakota State. And then you have North Dakota versus Denver. I'll go North Dakota versus North Dakota versus North Dakota State for the conference championship. All right, next is the West Coast Conference. First round games are March. You have a second round on March 6th, then another round on March 7th, another round on March 8th, the semifinals on March 9th, and the championship on March 8th. First, get them to the championship game, and then do the bottom half. So, State. Washington State versus Pepperdine. I have Washington State will play San Francisco. San Francisco will play Washington State and will win that to play Oregon State. Oregon State versus San Francisco will play that one. I'll go Oregon State versus Gonzaga, and then Gonzaga will win the conference championship or go to the conference championship game. So Gonzaga there. Then you have Loyola Marymount versus San Diego, who will play Seattle, and I'm going to go Seattle versus San Diego. I'm going to have Seattle. They'll play Pacific, so Pacific versus Seattle. I'll go Pacific. Pacific will play the winner of Pacific and Seattle. So I'm going to go Seattle versus Santa Clara. Santa Clara versus Seattle. I'm going to go Santa Clara, who'll play St. Mary's. And then I'm going to have St. Mary's defeat Santa Clara, and it will be Gonzaga versus St. Mary's for the conference championship, and Gonzaga wins the conference championship. Now, we have that done that way we can kind of know what's what. So, in the men's tournament, you have the first round March 3rd, the second round March 4th, the third round March 5th. You have the fourth round on March 6th, the quarterfinals March 7th, the semifinals March 8th, and the championship game on March 9th. We'll go with the top half of the bracket first, and then go from there. So you have Louisiana versus Georgia State. The winner of that game will play James Madison. The winner of that game will play Southern Miss. So I'm going to have James Madison playing Southern Miss. The winner of the James Madison Southern Miss game will play Texas State. So I'm going to do Southern Miss will win over that one and they'll play Texas State. So Texas State will defeat Southern Miss and they'll play Appalachian State. So Texas State versus Appalachian State. I will have Appalachian State playing Troy. And the winner of Appalachian State and Troy will be here for the championship game. So I'll have Troy. Bottom part of the bracket, you have ULM versus Old Dominion. And the winner of that game will play Georgia Southern. So I'm going to have ULM playing Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern and ULM, the winner will play Arkansas State. I'm going to have ULM playing Arkansas State. So the winner of Arkansas State versus ULM will play South Alabama, and I'm going to have ULM playing South Alabama. South Alabama and ULM, the winner of that game will play South Carolina, or Coastal Carolina, I'm sorry. And I'm going to go Coastal Carolina and South Alabama. The winner of that game will get to play Marshall, and that's going to be South Alabama that I'm going to go with. So the winner of Marshall and South Alabama will get to play Troy in the championship game. So I'm going to go Marshall versus Troy for the conference championship, and I'm going to have Marshall win that one. In the that was the Sun Belt Conference. So in the Sun Belt Conference for the women, South Alabama play. We'll go with the top half of the bracket. Play Appalachian State. The winner of that game will play Coastal Carolina. So I'm going to go South, and they'll play Coastal Carolina. South Alabama and Coastal Carolina. The winner of that game will play Texas State. So I'm going to go Coastal Carolina, and they're going to play Texas State. Coastal Carolina versus Texas State. The winner of that game goes on to play Marshall. So I'm going to have Texas State win that one, and they'll be playing Marshall. Texas State versus Marshall. The winner of that game will play James Madison. So I'm going to have James Madison win that one to play Georgia Southern. The winner of James Madison, Georgia Southern will go to the championship game, and I'm going to have Georgia Southern on that one. On the bottom end of the bracket, you have Louisiana versus Georgia State. The winner of that game will play ULM. So in that game, I'm going to have Louisiana advance to play ULM. The winner of ULM versus Louisiana goes on to play Southern Miss. So I'm going to have ULM win, and they'll win that one, and they'll play Old Dominion. The winner of Old Dominion and Southern Miss will play Arkansas State. So I'm going to have Old Dominion that one, and they'll play Arkansas State. In the Arkansas State Old Dominion game, the winner of that game goes on to play Troy. And so I'm going to have Old Dominion play Troy. The Troy Old Dominion game will play Georgia Southern in the championship, and I'm going to have Old Dominion beat Troy. So Troy will play Georgia Southern for the championship, and I'm the championship. Last but certainly not least, we have the ASUN tournament for the women. And in this game, the only certain teams will advance, so we will go with that. I have Austin Peay versus Lipscomb, FGCU versus Belmarine, West Virginia versus North Florida, North Alabama versus Queens. Okay, and in the North Alabama versus Queens game, the winner of that game goes on to play Central Arkansas. So I'm going to have North Alabama play in Central Arkansas. And then from there, I'm going to Central Arkansas that goes and advances further. So Central Arkansas here. You have you have West Georgia versus North Florida, and the winner of that I will go with North Florida versus Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville. So then you'll have Jacksonville versus Central Arkansas, and I'm going to have Jacksonville. Next, on the top end of things, you will have FGCU and Belmarine plays the winner of EKU. So we're going to go FGCU that will play EK. Wait a minute. FGCU will play EKU. Yes, that is correct. Austin P versus Lipscomb. I'm going to have EKU win that one, and then they will play Stetson. I'm sorry. Yeah, they'll play Stetson, and I'm going to have Stetson go into the championship game. You have Jacksonville versus Central Florida, or Jacksonville versus North Florida. I'm going to have Jacksonville. So Jacksonville versus Central Arkansas. I have Jacksonville versus EKU, and EKU will win the conference championship. So there you have it. That are my picks for the first round of the college conference championships, which will be taking place this week. Thank you for taking the button. Please hit the subscribe button, and please hit the notification bell so you can be made aware when I'm doing these conference championship picks, when I have sports action videos, when I have education videos, when I broadcast live, or when I have breaking news in the sports world. Also, if you wish to subscribe to the channel, it is greatly appreciated. You can do so by going to www.youtube.com, the slash symbol, the at symbol, SPORTSLOV. Or you can go on the YouTube search tab and type in Sports Live Media, SP. No, it's me because I'll have Sports Live Media burned into a basketball as my avatar. I'm also on Twitter X, and my handle there is at BobAmin16. That is at N16. So with this, thank you for taking the time to cast today. It is greatly appreciated.